Now in its 9th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hello, everybody. This is, of course, the Ramble. This goes till midnight, and I'm Alex Bennett.
Alex Bennett is still alive?
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Larry Bubbles Brown.
Yes, Alex, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Mr. Brown?
Good. I was reading the San Jose Mercury the other day, which I like because they've got a great obituary
Oh, really?
page. Yeah, which you don't see much anymore. And one of the things I like to do is I always like to find out people that died that were younger than me.
Well, that's the reason.
Which is a lot now.
Well, that's the reason why I always looked at the what do you call it? At the obituaries. Excuse me, I'm a little out of it today because 8,000 things are going on here. But anyway, no, I always read the obituaries to make sure people died who were younger than I was. But
yeah,
you know, or older than younger than I was. Yeah. But the fact is that now at my age, I'm watching the obituaries to feel glad that I didn't die. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, who was it? I think it was Carl Reiner who said that every morning he would get up and read the obituaries, and if his name wasn't there, he went on with his day.
Good way to do it.
You know. But so you look at it to see people who are younger than you.
Yeah. I mean, 10 years ago would be. Now it's not a. Now it's kind of you see a lot of them, but
yeah.
Then I went home and I found my old almanac, and I started looking at actors that these people that accomplished a lot that were much younger than you or I. So like Peter Lorre died at 60.
Really?
Yeah.
He always looked like he was in his 80s, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Yeah. Now, when we say Peter Lorre, let me preface that by saying Peter Lorre was an actor who was in movies. Okay, and the reason the reason I'm saying that is the people we're talking to right now probably don't remember Peter Lorre. Would you say that's...
Probably not, no.
You know, I think I could go out there, and if I were in an average audience, this is an older audience that I tend to get, but in a normal audience, and I mention the Beatles, and say to somebody, name all of them, they couldn't. You know, usually they miss George. Oddly enough.
The forgotten Beatle.
But I mean, it's just that we assume that people know when we say Peter Lorre who Peter Lorre is. And the fact is that Peter Lorre, unless people watch old movies, which nobody does anymore, right? Because there are no car crashes and no beat-em-up fights, you know, and so on. But if you watch Casablanca, you know who Peter Lorre is. You know, if you watch The Maltese Falcon, you know who Peter Lorre is. But if you don't watch those films, which is most people, because they're in black and white, forget it. They don't know who they are. You know. But Peter Lorre was 60. God. I would have thought he was much older than that.
Best known for Maltese Falcon, I would guess.
Yeah, lesser known for Casablanca because his part is smaller in Casablanca. But do you know that the Maltese Falcon was made 2 times before the one you know?
I did not.
Yes, it was made in 1930, starring Ricardo Cortez as Sam Spade. And it was pretty much the same story. Okay, not a bad movie, I might add.
Really?
Yeah. But then they remade it in 1936 with Bette Davis called Satan Met a Lady. And it's the same plot, except instead of a Sidney Greenstreet male character, it was a female. And they were going after, I think it wasn't the Maltese Falcon, it was called something else. But it is based on Dashiell Hammett's novel, The Maltese Falcon. So it was made then, and then they made it in like 1940 or 41 with Bogart and John Huston directing it, and that's the one that became famous. But they made it within 10 years. They made it 3 times.
Jesus, until I got it right.
Well, that was not unusual in the early days of films because movie companies owned rights to properties, right? And they had to make. You know how many movies they made a year? A studio. They had to make to fill the theaters. 52 films a year.
Wow.
Yeah. And I don't know if that included the short films, you know, the companion features, you know, that were really short. Like, you know, if you watch Turner Classic Movies, you'll be surprised at the number of films there are that are under 75 minutes. You know, there are some films that are like 59 minutes.
Really? Well,
yeah.
Woody Allen's run pretty short, and Hitchcock.
Yeah, but they ran short, but they ran about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. That you're right there, but they weren't that short. They weren't under an hour, for instance. So TCM every now and then will spend a day running films that were, you know, under an hour and 10 minutes or something like that. And they run like a ton of films, you know, almost 24 films in a day. But they had those films, and some of them were some of them weren't companion features. Some of them were actual features. But anyway, anything else you found in your almanac?
Yes, let's see. John Candy died at 43.
Wow. Yeah, well, that I believe because I remember he was a fairly young man, you know, but grossly overweight and literally asking for it.
Well, his father and brother also died of a heart attack at the same age. So
at the same exact age, and were they heavy?
They all died at 40. Yes, that's a very strong genetic feeling there.
Yeah, but were they heavy? That's the question.
That I don't know.
Yeah. But wow, 43. Okay, what else you got there?
Steve McQueen died at 50.
Yes, he died of what was it?
He had some gigantic tumor around his stomach. And remember, he went down to Mexico.
He went down to Mexico,
trying to experimental treatments and everything.
Yeah, that probably killed him more than the actual disease.
Probably did him in, but he was a huge actor in the 70s.
You would imagine if you have that kind of money, okay, which I'm sure Steve McQueen was not poor. If you have that much money, that you should be able to get the best doctors available and somehow get answers to tumors and things like that. But he went to Mexico. Who else went? Didn't Andy Kaufman do the same thing? Didn't he go to some quest?
Andy Kaufman was 34. He died in 84. Yeah, he went. I guess that movie, didn't he go to the Philippines?
I think so. Yeah, and there was some fake faith healers there, that he went and tried. But
now he used to show up. I didn't know this. I was a new comic then, but they said right before he died, he kept showing up at the other cafe in San Francisco and would he'd just look around. They asked him if he wanted to go on, and he said no.
The story I get was from Monty Hoffman, who was also dead. How old was Monty when he died? Do you know?
Well, let's see, Monty was born in 51 and died about 10 years ago, so
yeah, well,
probably mid-60s.
Anyway, Monty told me the story about how he was outside the other cafe, and there was, Andy Kaufman, and he went up to Andy and he said, "Hi, Andy, how are you doing?" And Andy said, "I'm dying."
Wow, really?
Yeah, he said, "I'm dying." And Monty was taken aback by that, and he said, "Well, is it bad?" He says, "Yeah, it's terrible." He said, "But you know what the worst part about it is?" He said, "What?" He said, "Nobody believes me." Which I can understand because, Andy was always known for doing massive put-ons.
Yeah, and there's always rumors that he's going to pop up someday.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I mean, to me that was tragic because nobody did believe him, and he went on and he died. I can't remember what he died of, but it was I think maybe a cancer of some sort. We've had, comedians either live to be really old
or really young.
I always bring up Bill Hicks, who the last time I saw Bill Hicks was in the green room at the Punchline. And I sat down with him because I knew Bill, and I liked Bill, and Bill liked me, and, we had a good rapport with each other. And I said to him, "So, how you doing?" And he said, "This is my last performance." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "I'm giving up comedy." I said, "You're giving up comedy?" Because that seemed ridiculous to me. This is a guy who was maybe one of the best up-and-coming comics of the time. And he said, "Yeah, I'm just going to go back and live in Texas." But he didn't say he was dying. But that's what it was all about.
Wow.
He knew he had pancreatic cancer, and there's basically very little cures for pancreatic cancer. My wife underwent pancreatic cancer operation that did make it go away, but then she got cancer elsewhere, He had pancreatic cancer, and he knew that there was nothing he could do about it. Basically, with pancreatic cancer, the doctors say, "Go home and make peace with the world because you're going to be dead in 6 months."
Yeah, he was 33.
He was 33, and I really that's a loss that I mourned. Number one, he was a nice guy. He was one of the good guys, and he was one of the rare genius comics. Not that you aren't in that group, by the way. I don't want to insult you by not implying that you aren't one of the geniuses. But I think
look at Mitch Hedberg. I think 36.
I didn't know of Mitch Hedberg. How old was he?
He was about 36 when he died.
But by the way, folks, if you're just tuning in, isn't this another wonderful session with Bubs? Isn't this life affirming?
Next time we can read from a black box.
Yeah, we can. Oh boy, yeah, you used to bring that in to this show.
Yeah.
It was a
Remember, we get the other comics to play the co-pilot, and we'd read them.
Yeah, but they all. I remember that there was this book called The Black Box, and it was black box conversations just before a plane crashed. Okay, and every one of them, they were transcripts, ended with "sound of impact."
Sound of impact.
Do you remember any of them? Do you remember one that stands out?
I remember these guys, it wasn't a big commercial plane, but they were flying around Texas, and it was bad weather, and they were lost, and one guy's looking at a map, and he goes, there's a mountain around here about 4,500 feet, and he asks, "What's our altitude?" The guy goes, 45 hun, sound of impact.
I don't want to laugh. I mean, those people are dead.
No, it's horrible.
They have families that cared about them, but, come on.
Gee, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. But I remember you came in with that. That was your big deal.
Yeah.
But now you've got your almanac.
Now I got my Paul Lynde, 56.
Really?
Yeah.
Again, you know, I would think, okay, that he would have been older than that. You know?
Yeah, I think these guys have been a lot older, and I'm shocked when I see how young they were.
Yeah. Now, we have people who died when they were really old. Those are the ones I'd like to hear about, you know. But we just lost, when this was recorded, we lost Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens.
He was 70.
Yeah. I remember the best line he ever had anywhere was after that whole arrest down in Florida for jerking off in the porn theater. He went to the MTV Awards and came on and said, "Anybody heard any good jokes lately?" He was, I think, singularly brilliant again, you know, and I don't throw that term around too often. But didn't you think, weren't you appreciative of him and what he was doing?
Yeah, I remember going to see the movie he did was hilarious.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That was Tim Burton's first big film.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it was, I thought it was wonderful.
It was hilarious, yeah.
Well, the thing was, and I say to Marjorie, we should watch some Pee-wee's Playhouse, because you can find them various places, right? Mm-hmm. And she says, "No, I don't want to watch it." And I went, you know, you're really denying yourself a pleasure here, because this was a show that was made on two levels. A, it was made for kids, because it was on Saturday mornings. But the other level is it was made for adults. And that's what was so wonderful about it. And every adult I knew watched that thing on Saturday mornings. You know, so I really appreciated him for what he created. That all started as a theater exercise at the Groundlings down in L.A. And he was part of the Groundlings. And then he took this character and just put him on TV and everything else, and became very successful with it. So I really appreciated the guy. You know, sad to see him go. But he was
70.
70.
Not that old.
70. No, that's. But to me, that's not that old. You know, to you, how old are you now?
Just over that, 71.
71. So you know, you figure you're on borrowed time now.
I do, yeah.
Well, borrowed time actually is, I think, anything over what, 77 or 76. What is it now for males? Males go earlier.
77 or 78.
Yeah, 77 or 78. And what is it for women? Do you know?
80.
80. And the reason guys die younger is because the women nag them to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, that's a sexist joke, and I will stand by it, okay? But you know, so I mean, it's sad that these people go so early, because they at least should be able to live the fruits of their labors. In other words, they get to be older, got a lot of money, go have a good time. You know, they never had time for that.
No.
You know, they never had time to retire. I think that's probably the term we should use here. But let's go back to the almanac. Who else do we have?
Okay, we've got...
And this time, say the name, but let me guess the year. Okay,
let me see.
Yeah?
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was somewhere in the area of 35.
33.
Okay, so I was close enough.
You're very close.
Yeah. A lot of people think he was murdered.
Yeah, that was one of those weird. There's so many people get murdered on movie sets, right?
Well, he didn't die on a movie set. He just died. It was of a
maybe his son died in a movie set.
Does it say what he died of there?
It does. It just got the year. He died in 73.
Does it say what he died of?
No.
Hold on a second. Echo, what did Bruce Lee die of?
Bruce Lee died on July 20th, 1973, from swelling of the brain caused by a reaction to prescription medication.
Oh,
He
it
was
says
32 years old.
a brain swelling caused by prescription medications.
Oh,
Does that sound suspicious?
that sounds very suspicious.
Yeah, they say it might have been the triads. You know, who knows? But again, a guy who was having a fairly interesting career. I mean, he pretty much created the whole martial arts end of movies. You know, and everybody since then has tried to imitate him. So it's it's amazing what he did. Who else you got in there? Who else you got in the book? Let me guess the age.
Okay, very. Peter Lawford.
Peter Lawford. I'm going to guess maybe 63.
61. You're very good.
Yeah. Okay.
That's young, though, isn't it? I mean,
yeah. I mean, there was no reason for him to go, but you know, a lot of these guys in that time, they smoked, they drank. You know, they did all those
big
things.
boozers and smokers, yeah.
Well, you know,
sure.
I watch movies today that are, you know, from, you know, the 50s, and everybody's got a cigarette in their mouth. And I'm going, no wonder these guys died young.
Yeah, Humphrey Bogart, 57.
Humphrey Bogart,
Always smoking in the movies.
always smoking in the movies, and I don't think he was always smoking in the movies because it was part of the character. You know, sometimes you smoke because it's the character. But I mean, I can't imagine how many people were killing themselves. I can't imagine that I was killing myself with smoking. You know, luckily
I never saw you smoke.
luckily I stopped in time. I stopped when I went to the quake, and some guy came in one morning and said his bit was you should stop smoking, and they said, well, let's give you a test to see if you have any of your breathing hampered at all by smoking. And so I took the test, and yes, my breathing was hampered by smoking. And I went home that day and I said, today's the day I quit. And I went out and I remember there was a thing called Bantron. There were these pills you could take that were nicotine replacement for your system. And I took those for a couple of days. And I said, I always say to people to do this if they want to quit smoking. Don't say you're going to quit smoking. Or don't say you're going to quit something. You're just going to see how long you can go without doing it. Okay? Because if you say you're quitting, you set a bar that you have to hurdle. Whereas you say, I'm just stopping and I'm going to see how long I can stop, you're giving yourself a little, goal, as it were. And I did that, and I quit. I completely stopped. Stopped when I was at the quake. Were you were on with me at the quake, weren't you?
Yeah.
And you didn't ever see me smoke there?
No.
Oh, okay, because I always had a cigarette in my hand.
But that was just at the end of the quake when I first came on.
Tell you, years later, I went to a urologist, and he said, well, you might have, he says, did you smoke cigarettes? And I said, yes, I smoked for 20 years, but I quit about 25 years ago. And he said, well, we still got to check you for what do you call it? Bladder cancer.
Bladder cancer, yeah.
Well, he was trying to pad the bill. And I said, why? I said, I quit smoking. He said, you smoked 2 packs a day, so that's 40 pack years. And I said, so I might still have cancer from that even though it's 25 years later? And he says, yeah. I said, then there was no reason for me to quit, right? And he had no answer for that one. But, God, I enjoyed smoking. It was such a prop, Did you ever smoke? No.
No, because my parents were chain smokers, so I hated I couldn't stand the smell of smoke, so I never did it myself.
Did they die of cancer, of lung cancer or something? Or?
No.
What did they go of?
Just like what was it? bad arteries and things like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Were they older?
But that which is caused by smoking. So.
Were they older?
Oh yeah, they're in their mid to late 80s.
Oh wow! And they smoked. They chain smoked.
They finally quit in their 60s, I think. But it was a lot. But
Well, I'm thinking now, at this age, I could go any day now. I ought to go back to smoking, or at least trying heroin. Anyway, we've run out of time here, Larry. Once again, another wonderful get-together with the likes of Larry Bubbles Brown. We'll see you next time, Larry.
See you next week.
Now in its 9th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Ah, yes, Larry Bubbles Brown, ladies and gentlemen, the old Bubs. Yeah. And there's nobody waiting to come on. Well, oh boy, what is this lately? Do you hate me? What's the story? I could go to sleep now if I wanted to. Maybe I should do it right here until somebody calls. Let me see here. Just catch a couple of winks here. Well, I guess even begging and pleading doesn't seem to say anything. I know we're going out. That I do know. So anyway, I don't know what to say, folks. I don't know what to say. This is it. Well, it says somebody. I don't know who that is, so I can't even answer that. So if you're somebody, now let me see who somebody is. Let me see here. Well, it doesn't seem to be. Oh, I know who that is. That's Brian. And let's see, Alan is entering here, and Jeff Stein.
You're waiting for somebody calls, so somebody's calling.
Yeah, but when you do that, I don't know if you're somebody who's going to, give me a real bad time or whatever,
Oh, what? A little gay porn at the beginning of the show. If nobody's going to call, that's all our fault, right?
I expect gay porn out of you. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, we matched today.
We
matched tonight.
Not really.
A little orange going on.
Well, is this orange? It comes across as orange on this camera, but it's really kind of closer to red.
How's that? Now we're really matched.
Yeah. And now what is with your color is all...
I know, because I closed everything off so my orange shirt looked darker so we would match.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway. Now you're all blue. You're green. Oh, now you're orange. Now you're orange. There we go.
Really orange.
Huh?
Yeah.
Really orange? Yeah. Okay. Hello, Jeff. How are you this evening?
Good. I had a good day.
You had a good day? What made it good?
Well, I took a ride on my bike. And I went to the swimming pool and walked around in the water a couple hours, and then I came home and made a paella.
Made a paella?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. How is your paella? Is it good? I imagine if you make paella, it must be good.
Well, sometimes it's fantastic. Some of them,
Like when I say
depends
I make...
upon,
Yeah.
it's a great thing that you can add 27 different things.
Well, what it is in the old days, at the Spanish home, they had a lot of stuff left over from the week. And so they made a rice base, and they put some
sausage, whatever.
But then you had some sausage left over, you threw that in. You had some fish left over, you threw that in. Shrimp, you threw that in. All the things you had left over. I mean, that's what a stew is, isn't it?
Yeah,
Basically,
same.
there were all these dishes, what we call leftover dishes. It became a pretty good deal,
So
Anyway.
I put some shrimp in and clams that we had left over, and a little chicken that was left over, a piece of that, and of course the rice, and and other vegetables and things like that.
Yeah, good for
Wine.
you. Good for you.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. I mean, women like to think they're the best cooks because they do all this cooking at home, but actually men are better cooks. I think by and large. When you look at all the really big chefs in the country,
Yes,
who are
yeah.
they? They're males.
Yeah.
And the reason is that women grow up having to cook, so they don't want to, you know, and men don't have to, so they want to. And also, I think men are more experimental than women are. In other words, I will take a recipe, and I will do it once as the recipe says. And then after that, I add stuff and take stuff away and put in more of something and a little bit of something else, you know. And, you know, it really kind of becomes a really good, men become far more experimental with cooking. Women were always the kind that looked in the cookbook and, oh, I've got to put in a tablespoon of this and you know, a cup of that, you know. Guys will go, a cup of that, if I add another half a cup of wine, it just might be a little bit better, you know.
Every time.
So the recipe is just like a starting thing for you, you know. Yeah.
But also, if you see a chef, those guys are working quickly and effectively in not just what they're going to cook, but to get it all done.
Well, the skill they have, the skill they have that always amazes me is cutting up a carrot, for instance. With a I'd lose 5 fingers by then, you know. But they never do. They got it all the right place, the right time, and everything like that. You know.
Trick is to put your knuckle forward and the knife rides up and down.
I don't want you to even
expert.
I don't want you to even tell people how to do it because then they'll try it and cut their finger off, and then I get sued.
I'm just saying I'm not an expert because I end up usually cutting my fingers. So yeah, but that's how they do it. They get a knuckle in the way. I don't know. I don't cook.
Yeah.
So today was thanks for asking. Today was a quiet day.
Good for you.
I didn't ask you yet.
No, you didn't. It's okay.
And I know you're gonna ask me next. So yeah, I had a long day. I had to work in Lodi today. So I know you're gonna ask me too. So
how far are you from Lodi, where you live?
97 miles, about an hour and a half drive.
Oh, jeez almighty. Why did you move that far away from work?
Yeah, if I'm working late, then it's about almost 2 hours.
Why did you move that far away from work?
I didn't move that far away. We moved the building that far away.
Oh, you were closer to it at one point.
Yeah, so Sunnyvale was like 30 minutes away commute, and then, but we have a plastic mold injection company in Lodi, so we had the 2 plants, and we have one in Sweden, but we had that. And so Google bought all the land in Sunnyvale, and so we had a plan. So we built a big building right next to our plastic mold injection company, so we can get stuff from resin to the customer all in one, one block. So
you have something in Newark over by me, don't you?
Yeah, we just closed one of those buildings. It was really only for COVID bring up. I've built those 2, and then we have building 2 still up because we just bought another company called Biochip, and we're doing some top secret stuff over there.
Now, you don't really sell anything to the public, do you? You're not a company that sells to the
No, it's
public.
medical facilities.
Yeah. So
the big ones are the 120 plus bed.
So I can't go out and buy one of your products and support you, right?
No, not really.
Just wanted to make sure of that, you know.
No.
Are you involved in developing the new products?
No, that's R&D. We're going to keep R&D in Redwood City. Sunnyvale, just because it's a big, it's a niche career, so it's hard to find that in Lodi. So we're going to keep a couple buildings here, but we're moving, moving around.
Yeah. But and you make basically testing things for.
Yeah, we test for infectious disease.
Now, do you sell to somebody like Quest, for instance? Do they use any of your products, or do they just have their own?
No. Like for when we first started, a lot of stuff was for VA hospitals, and then we just go from all the other medical facilities from there. Yeah, all hospitals and government stuff too.
Now, your company, I can't buy stock in your company, or can I?
No.
No.
I don't think it can.
Not publicly traded.
Not publicly traded.
Oh yeah, sorry. Danaher is. Yeah, Danaher. Now our big company is Danaher, so that is.
Now, what does Danaher do?
Danaher is a big company that is our parent company, and so they've bought a whole bunch of these companies. They have like 200 other companies that they've bought. Wow. A lot of dental stuff. So when you go to the dentist, a lot of the stuff that they use is they're a company, but they're also with Danaher and what's that stupid expensive camera that Phil likes? The
Nikons?
No, it starts with an L. That
Leica?
Yeah, Leica. We own the microscope division of that company, but not the camera.
I remember when I was a kid, I used to use microscopes because I loved science, right? Mm-hmm. And I used Leica microscopes.
Yeah, I've been to that facility in Germany. It's pretty amazing how they polish all the glass and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, I spent years in college when I was a kid studying microbiology, and guess how you study microbiology? With a microscope.
Yeah.
Of course, the most I ever did with a microscope was I take one of my hairs and put it under there to take a look at my hair. Yeah.
And what did it tell you?
Failed.
You'll be gone soon. There's a Homer Simpson. There's a how they go back into history. So there's one of Homer, and he's young with a full head of hair, and he's at the sink getting ready in the morning, and he sees a couple hairs in the sink. He goes, don't worry, I got plenty of those.
Oh boy! You know what I got today? I sent away to Amazon. I saw this advertised on TV. I can't remember where. One of the news channels, I guess. And it said it's called the hair weasel. I think that's what it's called. And it's a thing you put down your drain, and then usually I have my super come up and snake the drain. Well, this is a plastic snake about that long.
Yeah,
and you hook it on. You hook it onto the grinding thing, and you put it in there. Man, I took out just a ton of stuff out of my sink. And Marjorie says, "Well, it can't be stuck, held up there. It can't be." Let me start over again. I think ahead of myself these days.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm out of sync tonight. What is this? I don't know.
No, you were cleaning the sink. How could you be out of sync?
Anyway, what was I saying? So anyway, what was I going to say? Oh,
so the plastic thing has little barbs on it, right? So when you stick it in there, then you pull it up and down, and then all the hairs attached to it.
No, but you don't have to pull it up and down. It's like a real snake, and you hook it onto this thing that turns it around and around and around down there. So it doesn't you're not just going down and trying to snag onto something. It's like wiggling around and getting it. And it's called I think it's called the hair weasel, if I'm not mistaken. Excuse me, folks, if I'm a little out of sync. I just won't talk tonight. Screw it. But anyway.
You look fine here.
I do. I know I look fine there. I look fine on my, what do you call it, on my Zoom. But I'm not, completely that good on my show going out here. So I don't know. I give up. Anyway.
It looks okay on YouTube.
Yeah, it does? Okay. Well, yeah, but you can't hear my voice to see if I'm in sync, you see.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I know it looks good on YouTube. Last night I had my camera go out on me, so I went to another camera. And that camera froze up on me, so I finally went to the cheapest camera I own, and it didn't freeze up on me. Didn't freeze up on me, not a chance. So
best picture.
Yeah. It was. It does, and I was amazed because it's the cheapest camera I have, and the picture was pretty damn good. So but anyway. So I went to my doctor yesterday, my neurologist, the one that sent me to that doctor, who did all those blood tests on me and then never got back to me and charged the Medicare $5,000. Do you remember that doctor?
Yeah.
So I was waiting for this day. I was just waiting here, I'll put my hand over my mouth, then you won't be able to tell that I'm out of sync. Anyway, so I could hardly wait for yesterday to tell this guy, hey, you know that guy you sent me to? Well, guess what, right? So I go to him and I tell him this, and he goes, gee, I always heard he was a very good doctor. I get along with him very well. We go to the same synagogue together.
Oh.
And I'm going, well, you know, I can't beat that. That's a trump card you just can't go better than. So he went and did more tests on me and everything yesterday. He's decided the reason why I'm lightheaded a lot is because of my neuropathy. That the legs are sending messages from the brain or whatever. I don't know. I don't get it.
That's weird. I've never heard that.
Yeah. So
I'm sure there's a lot of things I never heard of in medicine, but that sounds weird.
Well, you know, I'm sure there are a lot of things my neurologist never heard of in medicine, but he still evokes them. You know, so I don't know. Am I out of it, or are doctors just terrible today?
Terrible.
I'm
on a year and a half ago, I saw my first podiatrist. I've now seen 4 of them at Kaiser.
Really? Why?
Yeah.
Because each one was
ingrown toenails.
Oh.
I got ingrown toenail on my right foot a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
On both sides of the right toe, big toe. And she only trims one side, says the other side will take care of itself. Wrong, still going on. So, you know, soaking and all this other stuff and trimming. And so finally I saw another urologist on Wednesday for my left toe, which is doing the same thing. And he says, it's not going to, I don't know why she trimmed only one side. On your left toe, let's numb it up and trim both sides. I mean, that's the way to fix this.
Wait, man, in order to fix your toenails, they have to numb you up?
Yeah, well, they numb it up because they're going to cut on either side of the toenail.
Yeah.
And pull that piece of toenail out.
No wonder nobody listens. No wonder nobody listens to this show or calls this show. They don't want to hear this stuff.
No, you know what? So I told you I cut my big toe. My God. Okay, so I have 2 big toes that are really jacked up because I played basketball.
Get as disgusting as you want. I can't lose any more people or get any less people calling.
Okay, good. Screw everybody. Okay, yeah. So I
this
played
is going to be
the
best. This is going to be the best last show I ever do. Okay, go ahead.
This I know. Just think of something. So I played a lot of basketball when I was in high school and beyond. So, anyways, my big toes, you get beat up. A lot of people stepping on feet, and when you're down like big man. So so I've always had 2 jacked up. One got jacked up. One actually got ripped up when I was moving a mattress that had a plastic cover. It grabbed it and pulled the nail off. It grew back perfect. Really? So, but now I just cut it too short and I had it ingrown. So I've been suffering with that for like a month now, and it's almost continued on. So I'm glad to hear that the doctor said just let it grow out. So, but it did turn a little red. I thought it was going to be infected, but it's okay. Do you want to see it? Do you want to see it? Maybe this will get more.
Yeah, show us.
Really? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I learned something new, that you don't trim the nail around with the round.
Yeah.
You go straight across and then file the points, because when you go around, you trim into the side too much.
Yeah, I think I trimmed into the side, and then the leftover there, I sort of, ripped that out, and then the combination of both just had to dig in.
Do a video of that.
I wish Charlie would call and he could just show us his feet.
No. Did you see the picture of his feet? Oh my God! Talking about it and making jokes
is there a picture of it on his Facebook?
He posted a picture of it, and his toes are not there. It's just that, no CGI for sure.
They have an ad on TV now for some woman who smoked. In New York, they run the most incredibly disgusting ads for anti-smoking, and it's a woman saying, I smoked, and look at my feet. And they show her no toes, right? No toes on TV at dinner time when I'm trying to eat food. Now, if Charlie's listening, I'm sorry. I don't mind having to look at your feet, however, because they're intelligent feet. All right. But anyway, so I've seen people without toes. You know, the hardest part is, I've never asked Charlie about this exactly, but I guess he's got to have some kind of put in his shoe.
Yeah, you
in
must.
order to make up for the toes, in order to balance, you know?
Yeah, I always thought that the whole ball of your foot and your toes were really important,
Well,
for balancing. And
I'm having a real problem balancing
Mhm.
because of the neuropathy. I mean, I don't trip or anything, but I got to be very careful when I'm walking now. Today I took a walk and it was okay, but a couple of times I stumbled a little bit. Marjorie says she stumbles quite a bit too, but she doesn't have the neuropathy. Although she does have her feet are numb, so like mine. So
yeah,
I guess
so now
yeah.
I wear sandals now when I drive to Lodi because when my feet get a little numb and sore.
I saw the AFI tribute today to Sean Connery, and he got up and gave his speech. And at the end of the speech, he says he had some guy he knew that he really respected and he really liked, who said to him something very profound once. And he said, what he said to me was, just remember, life is good. It's the last third that's shit. And I heard that and I went, something, nothing is more the truth, right, Jeff?
Every morning. Yes.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. I mean, I keep going. Why can't I feel more comfortable? I just want to feel more It should be that when you get later on in life, actually things don't hurt, and all of that. But as you get older, things just get worse. Everything.
Yes, they do.
I mean, I guess maybe how long is this equipment supposed to last? Have I outlived that? Is that what I've done? And that now I'm suddenly getting all these. I mean, I'm not terrible. I know people younger than me who have more things, wrong with them and so on. I'm relatively healthy, just not in my mind. But when I heard Sean Connery say that about life is good except for the last third, which is shit. And he said this on national television, by the way. So don't demonetize me, okay?
Yeah.
I agree with him, unfortunately. I guess when Trump screws up and when the ozone's being screwed up and stuff, I'm sort of happy that I'm in the last third of my life. I feel for kids. Some of you have children and grandchildren. Alex and I guess, don't. But I feel for them. But I'm happy that I'm on the downward slope, I guess.
You're happier on the downward slope?
No, I'm not happier, but I'm just saying that I feel better that I'm in the last third of my life, and don't have to put up with all the bullshit that Trump's going to screw up. Although I do want to live long enough to see him go to prison.
Well, you know what happened? I got to tell you, I always had this feeling that as you got older, you got more respect. You got more respect, and it's not true.
You're not Asian.
You get less respect. I mean,
you're not Asian.
I'm not Asian.
What's that gonna do?
Asian culture really cherish their elders, and then when they
Absolutely.
pass away, they have a little temple thing in their house. I mean, they really respect their elders.
Well,
Wow.
they respect the opinion of their elders. Their elders are there to give them wise advice. I mean,
Yeah.
even in Indian tribes, they used to have some individuals they referred to as the wisest elders. And whenever they would want to know, and sometimes an ex-chief or whatever was one of the wisest elders, whenever they wanted an answer to the problems of the day, they would go to the wisest elders and they would get their opinion. Today, it's nobody wants to listen to old people. Just shut
They want to. I don't know. My nieces and nephews have never really talked to me much, but now they're all of a sudden starting to say hi, calling, happy birthday, stuff like that. And I said, what's that about? I was asking my mother. She says, you're getting older. They see dollar signs coming their way. I said, they're gonna have bad news because they're not in my will. You know, I'm just,
Did you put us on your list?
I'm sorry.
Oh, are we on your list?
Yeah,
You are. I figured out how to spell Jeffrey Stein
That's right.
the other
thank
day,
you.
and so you definitely are. But
He's in the will. He's in the will.
of course, why not?
Well, I don't know.
Gotta stick together.
I'd like to say that probably, chances are you're going to outlive Jeff. Okay, so
Okay.
it's nice of you to say that he's getting money from the will, but that's what I told Shecky. Shecky said I left you this much money in my will, and I said, well, that's very nice and it's wonderful, but at my age, you're going to way outlive me. And I hope I never live to see that money. And he was dead 2 months later.
Wow, that really sad.
The sad news was that, I lost my best friend.
That was a good video that you posted of the memorial.
What I did, that wasn't mine.
I think your little short minute and a half thing was a good little speech.
It's 3 minutes. 3 minutes. I timed it to the second.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was good.
Oh yeah, no, I was very happy with it. But it just amazed me that I said this to this guy. I said, yeah, it's very nice of you, but come on, I'm never going to live to see. I hope I never live to see that money, as I think how I put it. And 2 months later,
I have my roommate, my trust. He's 6 years older than me and in much worse health. But he's in my will, and you never know who's going to go first. And I drive a lot more freeway driving. I could be in an auto accident and killed long before him.
Listen, don't do it. Otherwise, I'd have 3 people here. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
I
thought about donating money to GabNet, but then I don't know what they would do with the money.
There's nothing there.
It doesn't cost me that much to do. It costs me maybe $500 a year to do this total. I would say, So
the one thing I'm glad about is, my family took a lot of pictures. So my mom took a lot of pictures when I was growing up. So I have a lot of I have a lot of pictures from that. And then I was always into pictures, so I have tons of pictures. And like every day, I take a picture of Adrian doing something funny or something. So at least that there's a lot of stuff for her to remember me by from all the videos and everything that we do. So that's a cool thing about the technology now, is that there's so many memories. You see stuff on football players and stuff, and like Stephen Curry. They show him when he's, 3 or 4 years old dribbling a basketball in clear video because, when he was a kid, they had video going on everywhere. So,
yeah,
pretty cool.
Some of my pictures from when I was a kid, like at Universal Studios, are Polaroid black and white. No, that's the technology, is what you're saying. I mean, we can now take, 100 pictures. You could take 100 pictures of Adrian running around the house, and then delete 98 of them till you get the right one, and it doesn't cost you a dime.
But let me tell you this. For instance, if I look and find some pictures of me when I was a baby, okay, there are maybe I don't know, 5 pictures, 6 pictures of me as a baby.
Yeah.
How many pictures of Adrian do you have as a baby?
I have the first 2 minutes of her life. From there, every single day I have pictures from her.
Yeah. And the reason is, in the old days, when you took a photograph, that was a big deal. You even owned a camera, okay? Then you took it out to be developed, Yes, Charlie?
I have about 8 million pictures of my oldest daughter. I have about 5,000 pictures of my son. I have about 2 pictures of my youngest daughter.
Because that was at a time when you took a picture and you had to take it to the 1-hour photo or wherever and get it developed.
It wasn't that. It's just I was too busy with the other 2 kids when the third one came along. We didn't have time to take pictures.
We have this friend who drops their cat off once in a blue moon. They're going to drop the cat off again for the first time in a couple of years, in a few weeks from now. But the cat, we took nothing but pictures of this cat like crazy. I've got more pictures of that cat than I can find of me as a baby. Okay?
Wow.
Because with an iPhone, you can take a picture every second, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I don't know how many people do it, but I bet there are people who actually filled up their phones with pictures to where they can't have any more because they won't fit on their account.
When we were kids, they took a picture, then they had to take and have it developed, and then you look at it and you go, this one's blurry, that one's blurry, and throw half of them away. And, you know, I got a couple baby pictures of me, but not much. I mean, maybe from under 10 years old, they probably got 50 pictures of me.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you got your iPhone or your smartphone or your whatever, and you're constantly producing pictures. And of the ones that come out blurry or the wrong light, you can correct the light on it and all that kind of stuff on the phone, and the other ones you just delete.
When somebody walks in front of you, say, "Oh, I'm sorry." I said, "Don't worry, I'll take it again."
That's right. I'll take another one.
Charlie, Alex has a riveting question for you that he's been wanting to ask you for years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
What was that?
Here.
What was the question?
What fills the space in your shoe?
Do you have to have a block or something? Alex?
No, I used to put a wadded up sock in there to keep my foot from sliding around, but I found out later that it didn't really need it, so it's just empty space.
Really? So you just have that empty space there?
Yeah, it's just,
okay, I got it.
I wasn't gonna show you. It's not pretty.
I was saying I have enough trouble getting people to call this show now and to watch it, and if we send
Charlie, do you ever get bored and you need a good laugh and you go to the shoe department and try on a shoe and ask if that one fits you and the guy goes to squeeze for your toe at the end of the
I'm too cheap to go to a store like that. I go to Walmart or Target and get shoes.
If I visit you, we're going to the store to do that.
I bet you I'm going to mention something that maybe none of you ever had when you were a kid. And maybe Jeff, but I don't know anybody else here would. We used to go to the shoe department in a store like the Emporium, for instance. And I would we're going to get me some shoes, okay? So we would put the shoes on, and they would stick my foot. I would stand up and stick my foot under a fluoroscope.
Yep.
Do you remember this, Charlie?
Yes.
Yeah, we used to do that when I was a kid. Yeah.
And you used to
toes, you can see the bones moving and stuff.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I remember that too.
I'm wondering how much radiation we got off of that.
I bet we probably.
Well, the sad thing is the salesmen. Those things weren't very well protected, so they're leaning over. A lot of them died of radiation poisoning.
I'm sure they got a lot more radiation.
Was there in a fluoroscope? Was there enough radiation to be that dangerous?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Because now they call that thing a CT scan. Yeah, right.
No, I think it actually put out more radio. They were not.
They didn't know what they were doing. Hell,
no, they didn't.
When Oppenheimer made the bomb, he didn't know when he blew that thing up if the atmosphere wouldn't catch on fire.
Well,
that was a serious worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that box was wood with steel lining, not even lead. And it had all kinds. I remember the shoe store in Fremont having that. And you just stick your foot under it. And
we just got so tickled about just to watch our bones moving around.
But the salesmen that were there over the machine constantly got a lot of rads of radiation. I'm sorry, Jeff. You put your hand up.
Jeff, yes. Well, turn on your mic, Jeff.
You're muted.
Turn on your mic. Yeah.
Just think about the first atomic bomb that they were making, that small one to do a test.
The small, you mean the first one?
All over the area.
What?
There was all people in the area wherever they did the test.
The radiation went as far as Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After the war was over with, they would do testing in the Nevada desert.
Yeah.
And so they would invite people and have a party at these casinos to watch the bomb go off, and a lot of those people had radiation poisoning from the fallout.
The windows rattled in Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a big deal. It was a big deal. But we didn't know what radiation would do to you then. We had no idea.
No. Nope.
You know, I think only one person died at where was it? Where
New Mexico.
where did
or whatever.
In
yeah?
New Mexico.
I think only one person died in that whole thing, but it was you know, we were playing with fire and we still are. You know, I mean, what I think was insane was after the initial bomb, what they did is they kept testing them.
Yeah.
And they went out to the, the Pacific, out to Bikini Atoll, and they kept blowing off one after another, after another, after another. I think how many? Do you know how many they blew up in total?
A lot.
It was like
Probably hundreds.
Probably. They just kept doing this.
Part of the thing they didn't know about is the radiation poisoning, and they had ships with 1,000 sailors on them sitting 10, 20, 30, 40 miles, 50 miles away from these explosions. And when it filled the cloud and came back down on the ship,
you couldn't be far enough away from that stuff,
That's right.
And they weren't. They weren't. And it was horrible. It was terrible.
Yep.
But that's the kind of there's this film called The Day After Trinity, which is one bomb test after another. All the footage became declassified, and they started running all the footage, one right after the other, and then the kilowatt. You've seen it, right, Kevin? With the tonnage on each one, and they got bigger and bigger and bigger. And there was one in China where they actually took soldiers on horses riding into the radiation. And I don't know what they felt they were going to find out doing any of this.
The interesting thing is the bombs that they dropped in Japan and the one they tested in Trinity had like an ounce or two of radioactive material. It's all the other equipment around it, the fire, the gun type thing or whatever, to get to cause it to go off and do its thing. I can't think of the term.
Well, I mean, those bombs were baby bombs by comparison to what we developed.
Absolutely.
Now, but today, Charlie, the bombs today that they call a nuclear device, that Russia says they have, and all these countries supposedly have. Pakistan has one.
Yeah.
They're not of the same lethal. They aren't as strong as the originals, are they?
I mean, they could be, but they now have what they call low yield bombs, where they can, instead of megatons, they're in the thousands of tons or whatever.
Yeah, we found out we didn't need
a
100 megaton bomb or something, which we could. Well, how much could that wipe out, for crying out loud? That would have taken out most of Japan.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh well, we're gonna go see that movie finally on Tuesday.
Good.
Anybody seen Oppenheimer here?
Not yet.
Not yet. You want to see it, don't you, Charlie?
Yep.
Yeah. Charlie and I have similar interests.
You're not going to do Barbenheimer?
What?
You're not going to do Barbieheimer?
No.
I'm going to see Barbie too. It's been sold out every theater within 10 miles of my apartment.
Well, you know something? Marjorie goes, I don't want to see it. I'll see it when it's on TV. I don't want to go see it. And I'm going, every review on this film has been spectacular. It's basically, and the reviews say this isn't the film you came to see. And also what's wonderful about it is it's the first film ever to make $1 billion at the box office, directed by a woman.
Yep.
Is this Barbie or Oppenheimer?
Barbie.
My wife and daughter went and saw it, and they said it was really good.
Yeah.
They said I should have gone. I said, whatever.
I think Barbie this time around was made for adults, not for kids, the movie.
Yeah.
Well,
It was both.
I think it's kind of like everybody used to say to me, gee, those Warner Brothers cartoons, boy, some of them, I don't know if I could let my kid watch some of those. And I go, they said, why do they make these for kids? And I have to tell people, they didn't make them for kids.
That's right.
There were actually two levels. There was an innocent level that you could laugh at. But
Yes,
then it was
but the
double
cartoons were made to go on in between two features, you know, a feature and a secondary feature, that were adult pictures, you know.
Yep.
Pictures with Jimmy Cagney and Edward G. Robinson and whatever. And these were made basically for an adult audience, not for kids.
Yeah.
And so when you wonder about, you know, all the racism and everything else that's inherent in those old cartoons, you go, nah, pretty innocent for its time. Yes, Jeff?
Well, I went out to dinner with my wife and her friend who's a professor. And she says, I got to go see this movie because all of my students are going to say everything about it. And I've got to really know what's going on. So I go, okay, you guys can go over to the movie. And I realize I'm in the car and I'm going with them. So I saw the thing. And I gotta tell you, for me, it got a little boring. It was overdone, from my perspective. It was focused for women. That's okay.
What, Barbie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it supposedly has a women's message and a women's.
Oh, yeah.
That
Yeah,
sort of
absolutely.
thing.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, the whole movie theater was filled with me and 50,000 women.
It's like going to see Taylor Swift. Yeah.
I went and did the reviews today with Snyder, which you can find posted here on Gabnet. And the one film I was interested in is this thing called The Last Voyage of the Demeter. I think it's called. I think that's the title of it. And do you remember in the original Dracula movie, there's a portion of the film that takes place on a ship in which Dracula kills the entire crew before it gets to shore? Do you remember that part of the film?
No.
It's also in the book as well.
Yeah, too many years.
Yeah, I mean it's about a I'd say a 5-minute portion of the movie Dracula, and they made a whole movie about that portion, in which all these people are stuck on this ship, which is slowly the people are being eradicated by this vampire, who at night comes out and kills some people. And I thought it sounded like a great idea. Snyder didn't like it as much. He didn't hate it, but he didn't like it that much. So, but then again, Snyder's always wrong. So, you know, whatever. Hey, by the way, if you've never had a chance to hear his movie reviews, they're up. You know, and we do them every couple of weeks. So.
You guys did that every Friday, huh? Live 105?
On Fridays at Live 105, yeah.
Yeah, you guys always argued.
Yeah, and it hasn't changed. You know. Well, you see, what I always hated was he would take a movie that he hated and spend 10 minutes on it, and then a movie that was good he spent 5 minutes on.
Yeah.
And I went, you know, it doesn't make sense to me. Why don't you just not review the ones that are bad and only review the ones that are good? You know.
Speaking of which, did you? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, it's kind of off subject. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was. Did you hear that Scoop Nisker died?
I heard. Yeah.
I didn't know if you knew him.
I never knew him. I never knew him.
It was real. I really liked his newscast.
Yeah.
Back in the K-San days.
I'm trying to prevent myself from sneezing. I'm not doing my Hitler impression. How do I do my Hitler impression? Like this, I guess. Anyway, so the other thing that was bothering me today, God, it drives me crazy. To begin with, the two things that drive me crazy now when I watch. Marjorie watches MSNBC and she watches every newscast. And one thing that drives me nuts are the ads they run. Now, here's what drives me nuts. I was in kind of advertising for a short time. And the one thing I learned about is if you're going to do a commercial, you do about 5 versions of them. And then you run them when you run them a lot, you just rotate them. And therefore, nobody gets tired of the same commercial over and over again. They don't do that anymore. They've got this, what is the one with Liberty Mutual with Limu the Emu?
Yeah.
They have an ad with the little kid, in the car with his own little emu and so on. Okay, cute the first time. All right, I'll buy it.
They do have two versions of that. They have a short version.
Well, they have a
and longer
short version, but it's the same version. They've
Same
just
goddamn
cut
thing,
it short. They have a 15-second and a 30-second version.
Yep,
They
it's
run
basically
it
the same.
over and over and
It's like
over.
the same one with the city commercial and the chick in the vibrating chair.
Oh, the chick in the vibrating chair. What?
Yeah, the one that goes to Lowe's and buys a chair for $5,000 on her city card.
No.
Oh, you've got to have seen that. I see it every morning at 7:18 and 7:49 on NBC. Just
Who's
because
up
I'm
at that
drinking
hour?
my coffee.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, all I know is they keep running these same commercial. A lot of these advertisers run the same commercial over and
Every
over
morning.
and over again.
And they're at the same time. I mean, this one I happen to know because I'm up at that time, getting my coffee.
And if
And it's, the Today Show is on or whatever, and it's the same time, the same commercial every freaking time.
And
she
if
says,
you're very
I want this, and you got a cucumber water, and da da da. And she's in Lowe's, and she rolls back, and she gets her massage chair. and it's like,
one I haven't seen.
Oh, you have to.
But that must be the treat for the early morning
Yeah.
audiences.
Not up that early.
West Coast.
But then it just drives me nuts, some of these commercials over. And sometimes, if you're really lucky, they do it twice in the same break.
In the same ad.
Same.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, the back-to-back the ones.
Yeah.
That's when I think they're using that.
And here's the
subliminal
other
shit.
thing I don't get about ads these days. They run commercial. Let's say they run a commercial for an insurance company. And the commercial right after it is for another insurance company.
Yeah.
Now, when I was working the business, you guaranteed separation from competing
Never did that.
advertisers by, maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But no more. Screw you. We're going to run. Here comes Limu the Emu, followed by Flo and her
back,
friends
yeah.
over there at Progressive,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're running. Yeah, the one they're running is the Barbie ad with Progressive,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That one they run over and over again.
Yeah.
She has a boyfriend, but I can't. I tell you, but I don't think that I can.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
it, yeah.
geez. And I mean, over and over and over and over. And you just, it's like, after a while, you want to just kill yourself.
Yeah. And that's why we're talking about it, huh?
Yeah. Well, let me talk about one
It's
other thing
working.
here that really bothered me tonight watching the news.
The other one-
NBC at the beginning of the news took 12 minutes. On what story do you think?
Hunter Biden.
No. No.
Well,
that
was it
that
the
took
fire?
a minute. That took a minute.
Was
What?
that the fire?
The fire in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, look, it's a big story and it's a sad story and it's it only points up, of course, climate climate problems and so on.
Speaking of which.
But what?
I said, speaking of which, I sent Renee an email to see if she was okay.
Yeah, but have you ever heard back from her in any emails?
No, I have not.
See?
No.
But anyway, global warming is a fact of life, and but 12 minutes. And what was this 12 minute? What most of this 12 minutes concerned with? Showing endless numbers of people. God, I can't talk anymore. Endless numbers of people. Crying,
Yeah.
crying.
Oh, fine.
Well, that's what they do. I think the big
Yeah.
thing with the media now is to do an interview and see if you can make somebody cry.
Yeah.
Well,
They get you close, and
Yeah.
then they ask another question and poke.
and sometimes it's a very stupid question. I heard
Yeah,
one
but
like,
they poke. They're trying to get the soft spot.
I think one of the reporters said something like, "Are you sad at what happened?"
Yeah.
or whatever.
Did you?
Yeah, my house burned
Are you
down.
sad that your dog is laying in there, charred like a piece of charcoal?
Yeah, a police
Yeah.
cry for. Anyway, it was
Tell us
12 minutes of one person after another crying. And I'm going, how can you exploit human pain
just
this
stop.
vicariously? You know?
Why don't they find the person that's house was not burned down and interview them?
You know what's amazing? If you look at the land of it all, the landscape, you see pretty much charred houses, but every now and then
terrible.
you see a house here that's perfect,
Yeah.
another house that's perfect, and a building that, you know, you can move right back into it tomorrow. And I don't know what makes the difference. There must be something about shrubbery or whatever around your
Where
house.
the wind blew.
Do you think that's it?
Yeah.
Jump
Yeah,
them.
probably.
Just where the wind blew.
San Francisco Mayor London Breed was in Maui. They had to get her out.
Really?
Wow.
Why? Why did they have to get her out?
She was vacationing there.
No,
Oh, yeah.
she wanted.
And it's
They
like-
wanted to bring her back to San Francisco and show her what devastation really looks like.
Yeah. She went back to what's changed.
Wanna make
Yeah.
her cry.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, our friend Howard. I remember Howard from Hawaii. He used to call.
Yeah.
I text him back and forth a little bit. He's on the other part of Maui, a little bit more south, and yeah, he just said that there is no power over there, and yeah, he just said it sounds real bad. So
I think we're seeing only one part of Maui, right?
yeah,
that's
Lahaina's
right
on
down
the
Lahaina.
Because
north.
I seem to remember Maui being a much bigger island than just that. you know?
Yeah, sort of two like that are together a little bit. So yeah, it's sort of a big
Lahaina's
one, but like two.
Just that one little area. It's like a downtown kind of area.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been to half of those buildings there,
Yeah.
Yep.
and the banyan tree. And
I've
all
never
that.
been to Maui. I've been to Oahu, of course, and then I've also been to Kauai.
Yeah.
That was.
That area right there was really cool, but sucks that shit happened there.
I remember when Kauai got completely decimated by a tropical storm.
I think they're spending more time on Maui fires than they do California fires.
Well, it's a strange kind of situation. I mean, if you're near the water, just jump in the water. You know,
Unless you can't swim, their bodies floating up to the shore.
really?
Yeah.
It was on the news last night
I
on
saw that.
CNN. They
Well, that's
showed
like
bodies.
50 people
The
dead.
governor of Hawaii was flying over in a helicopter.
It's up to 69, I think now.
69. Well, I've been out umpiring for 4 hours.
Oh, I bet it's going to end up being thousands by the time this is over.
They say they could at least be 1,000. You know.
Really? Wow.
There are a lot of people that are unaccounted for.
Yeah, they're missing.
Well, wasn't this also this fire exacerbated by hurricane?
There was a hurricane off the shore, a ways off the shore.
Like 400 miles off the shore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the wind conditions and the high pressure and low pressures on the outside of the hurricanes were contributing to it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I heard too. We must listen to this.
But I mean, it's terrible. But I just hate the fact that they exploit tragedy like this. You know, I know when I was in the marina and we had the earthquake back in, what was it, 89?
89.
89. And we all had to get out of our homes in the marina. We couldn't come back for several days. But the people were there, the news people were there, and they were just exploiting the situation. You know, we feel bad enough without you coming up and
Did
asking
you ever
us.
get interviewed?
Oh, what happened was I was helping a friend of mine out of her place because she was redlined. That meant she had to get out and don't come back.
Red,
you know.
red tag. Yeah.
Yeah, red line, red tag, whatever. Anyway,
Yeah.
I was helping her. We had a little REO speed wagon, you know, that we were dragging along with just measly possessions. And all of a sudden, a reporter comes up, very quietly, respectfully says, "Pretty rough out here?" And we went, "Yeah." He said, "Well, what's, how do you feel?" And she started talking, and as she started talking, it was like popcorns on pigeons. Or pigeons on popcorn, excuse me. See, I just can't communicate anymore. Am I that bad?
No.
Oh, okay. Pigeons on popcorn. just literally, I gotta say, maybe 50, 100 cameras now pointing at us all at once. I mean, it was just bizarre.
Well, they recognized you as being the great Alex Bennett.
Yeah, right. It was bizarre. And then they asked a stupid question, like, she said, well, you know, they were hauling a body out of that building over there just a couple of hours ago. And one of the reporters says, what did it look like? And she yelled back at them, he was dead.
Dead.
Okay? Any other questions? You know, I mean, it's just, I felt put upon. I really felt that in a time when we needed a little peace and quiet, to have these guys coming in and exploiting it just absolutely, you know, drove me nuts. Well, you were around at that time, right, Kevin? You know.
Oh, yeah.
You know
Oh,
where
yeah.
we were
I
going
remember it. I was in Fremont when it happened.
Yeah.
Drove over both bridges.
Yeah.
And over the Cypress at the same
Oh yeah,
day.
I used to drive the Cypress structure twice a week.
The only thing that was good though, what was it, the day after the earthquake, I'm walking back into the marina to go to my place, and as I'm walking out is Tom Brokaw.
Oh wow.
And he was doing a stand-up, I guess, down the street or whatever, and he just looked at me and he went, how's it going? You know, what my bad
He knew who you
impression
were.
of Tom Brokaw.
Yeah.
And I said, it's not easy. He said, well, good luck to you. And he was just very respectful, very
Nice.
respectful.
Nice.
But that, that was quite an incident, and it played up to me the fact that the news gets in the way. Okay, we've got to get our lives together, and you're getting in the way here.
Yep.
And I can't imagine what the people in Maui are putting up with now with the press.
Well, in California, there are places you can just drive out of San Francisco or out of the fire zone if you can get out of it, and there are places you can just drive to. Maui, you got your waterlogged. I mean,
you're on an
waterlogged.
island. You're on
Right. There's nowhere to go. I mean,
Yeah, now the fire didn't decimate the entire island, right?
no, not yet. At least
The fire's still going on.
still going.
It's
At
terrible.
least it was earlier today.
Just all I got to say is leave those people alone,
Oh,
please.
shit.
Yeah, I think it was like Southwest or somebody was offering $19 flights out to get people out of there. Yeah,
United canceled flights going into Hawaii, so they had aircraft that were at the airport there and allowing people to get on the flights cheaply, like Southwest and a couple of them.
Well,
Right.
there's my theme song, by the way. We're playing it.
Oh my God, that went so quick.
Yeah, it was a nice.
We
nice
didn't even get to see Charlie's toes.
no,
Oh, golly, please don't post those again. I have that in my
I was
head.
gonna say you can just go look and see. They're out there.
Anyway, thank you so much, Brian. Always good to have you here. Where's Adrian tonight?
She's playing games because it's Friday night.
Oh, I see. Okay. Jeff, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. As well as you, Alan. We always like having you here. Charlie?
Yep.
Great to have you here. And of course, Kevin is always a joy to behold. Oh, Santa on our show every night. It's just wonderful. Anyway, everybody give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you, okay? There they
Have a
go,
good
folks. Some of them are hanging up already, so let me just wave goodbye. Okay, that's our citizen panel for tonight, folks. They'll be back again on Monday. We're going to do our little pop-up show, which goes on out over Facebook. And then we'll be back here again next week at Wednesday at 10:30 Eastern Time, same time. Same station in life. Jack's next. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Have a nice weekend, everybody. Take it easy, okay?